Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. And on today's episode, we have more context to the British Museum heist of the century, where over 2,000 objects were stolen from its collection. No, it wasn't a historic Ocean's 11 type heist. No, it was just a greedy employee, which we did cover in a
Yeah.
previous episode, but now the museum is asking for help.
Yes.
Actually, I kind of want them to make an Ocean 11 style of this concept. It would be great.
Well, that happened to
Yeah.
a
No,
Finnish museum a couple years ago, but that's a whole different thing.
yeah.
Fair.
With the British Museum, which we have been covering the steadily unfolding saga of this train wreck, we just can't look away.
You love to
The
watch
British
it crash, but
Museum,
you hate to see it.
yeah. The British Museum has recovered 60 pieces, identified another 300 that were stolen, and is now launching a website asking people to please, pretty please return the 2,000 objects that remain missing from its collection.
Have they checked eBay?
I mean,
Um,
I'm sure some are on there, but it's hard. The issue with a lot of historic stuff and a lot of artifacts is it's hard to trace the provenance. So unless you can absolutely say that this is where the piece is from, it's hard to recover.
Yeah, and a big part of that too is the people involved in this heist knew that. It was a senior curator that was committing the theft, and now that the thefts have come out, the museum's director actually has been forced to resign due to the fact that they had an opportunity to launch an investigation into these thefts in 2021, but refused to do so.
Are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me?
They
And
knew about it
Aaron,
for 2 years, did nothing.
you want to know what makes the situation
This is like
especially
FBI level of
frustrating?
incompetence.
You want to
Yeah.
know what makes it frustrating? Is
Well,
they didn't know everything that was stolen because many of the items just so happened that they weren't fully cataloged or anything like that. They weren't brought into the collections.
oh,
So the museum has
of
no
course.
history, no trail. I mean, it's honestly very
Yeah.
very impressive. And
It quite literally was the perfect crime.
And
Yeah.
the
And
many of the possessions ended up on eBay actually, where one piece of jewelry was sold by the seller for the starting price of $340.
I hate everything. I hate everything
yeah.
so
And,
much.
and and that piece of jewelry, which is reportedly worth about $60,000,
Yeah.
um, uh, in total. So yeah, it's just floating around. And the worst part is a number of the artifacts that have been identified as missing are of the sort that can be easily melted down and resold for the value of their parts. Um, as is common with a lot of metal objects.
Because a lot of times it's hard to have the actual item itself in its form. Sometimes burning it down comes out better. I mean, you see that a lot with historic coins, unfortunately, especially gold ones, where they do hold value as historic items, but the value in gold is easier to fence. And
It's almost as if that the British Museum is not competent enough to protect their artifacts and should probably return them to the
so,
Yeah.
countries in
another
which they
thing that
came
I
from.
find
Yeah.
interesting is a bunch of current and former staff members that have commented on the incident basically have said that they weren't surprised that this happened, and it's just really sad to see such a pristine institution having these issues.
Yeah.
Pristine is not the word I would
Prestigious.
use.
Prestigious,
Prestigious.
yes.
Prestigious.
Prestigious. I was
But it,
Um, uh, and
it's really
speak-
ironic considering since their parliament made it illegal to repatriate certain document or certain artifacts because it was safer in the British Museum and in British fashion they were proven wrong.
listen. Speaking to your point earlier,
Oh.
both Greece and China have had renewed calls in recent months, demanding the return of the artifacts taken from their homelands. However, the British Museum does not know what is in its collection, and that is one among the many obstacles that allows for these thefts and prevents the return of the objects because We didn't know we had your most sacred relics. It was just sitting in our basements.
What do you mean you didn't know? We clearly can tell you that this is you stealing it from
I
us
will
200
say
years ago.
though, as someone who has worked in a couple of different institutions, it's not uncommon for there to be orphaned collections for things to be dropped off where the provenance or where the history is just straight up unknown. That's not unlikely. However, it's usually up to the curators and to the collections management to accession it, to bring it into the collections, to give it identification, and to put a paper trail behind it. This is a case where
Yeah,
someone
that
knowingly and willingly did not do that, did not follow those procedures, and then ended up using it for personal gain. And it honestly does fall onto the museum director if they had an opportunity to investigate and to see exactly what is happening and they actively chose against it.
Yeah, the true irony of this is the fact that the British Museum employees are so British that they are taking what the British government has rightfully stolen.
Oh, that's.
This
I've been waiting for the pun towards the British Museum. I am surprised it's not me who made the first jab, but yes, that is kind of the recurring theme with the British Museum that the things in the British Museum are the least British things about the British Museum.
sure, it was legal when we dug it up. Okay, so was slavery. What's your point?
Oh, don't worry, we
Yeah.
used them to dig it up.
Oh, I'm
Listen,
sure they
listen,
fucking did.
listen. I'm a save us from the I'm a save us from this tangent. But
Yeah,
yes, but yes, the the contents of the British Museum is one of the most keynote things that appears British but actually isn't.
And we wanted to highlight this specific article to bring things back on the rails momentarily. We wanted to talk about this specifically because we do harp on the British Museum. We do talk about it. And part of the reason we do is because we expect higher standards from professional organizations because it is such a finite resource. And
Yeah.
honestly, we talked about the thefts as they happened originally a couple of weeks ago. So for us to be able to have some level of continuation, I wouldn't quite say a conclusion. You just wait for episode 3
Yeah,
on
no.
that one.
Oh, this is episode 3. We are well and truly in this deep. And it's just like there's we're going to be a long ways out for inclusion. As I'm gonna quote their website here that they've launched with trying to find these artifacts.
Okay.
They are asking anyone who is concerned that they may be or may have been in possession of the missing objects to please get in touch by email. Yes, I'm going to email you to convict myself in artifact smuggling.
hey Jimmy, this guy says he's a Nigerian prince and
Well,
says he'll be able to get us
no, so
artifacts, but we have to send him $500 in gift cards first.
so I think you guys are. I understand the point you're making. However, one of the reasons they launched the website and one of the reasons they're mentioning it is because the curator, using his tag that he used on Twitter as well, fenced a lot of the items himself through eBay. And the reason they have that is because if you unintentionally bought something off eBay, maybe you don't know that it was stolen or that you think it's legitimate, you buy it, and then come to find out the person you bought it from had stolen it from a museum, you have a chance to legally and without repercussions repatriate the item. They're hoping that people would do that in good consciousness before the legal arm of the law comes knocking.
Yeah,
That's
that's a good
fair.
point to
That's
make, and I
fair.
thank you for making it there because it's just like the point's like this looks so stupid on paper. There's please, hey criminals, please confess.
But in
is
reality, it's for
what
the
is what
people
it
who
looks like on
unintentionally are
paper.
getting caught in that web, who want to do
Yeah,
good and
and
want to rectify the crime that was committed by this person trusted and in charge of maintaining these collections. It's
yeah,
honestly a disgusting thing to see in our field, and it's something that we joke about and we laugh about, but those people truly should be barred from ever being near an institution.
yeah.
Our heritage
Well,
is a limited resource, and it is one of the most finite resources in the entire universe because once this stuff is gone, it's never coming back. There are no alternatives like there are for fossil fuels. There are no secondary things, and people say that there's no value, but there is. And I think my tangent is the end point. I'm going to bookmark this here.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah,
We'll see
no.
you in the next one.